just for the record, balance is bullshit. Like 100%. Anyone that thinks they live this like perfectly balanced life is lying to themselves. Because like I remember talking about this with someone in like sixth grade. There's like different aspects of your life, like friends, school, family, health, whatever. And if you rate them out of 10, they can't all be 10 at the same time. They can't all be 10. Like there's always something has to give, right? Different parts of your life, something has to give.
My to-do list though says otherwise. I'm like, priority, everything is a priority. Is important. I look at my day and I'm like, computer science is a priority today, 100%. But so is the podcast, so is freaking what other practical ethics, so is finding out what the meaning of life is, so is rowing practice, so is
sleeping, so is friends.
Exactly. It's like you're taking a pie and you're like, it's not just one pie, it's 10 pies. People are like, you need to split that pie equally. Like, girl, no. I need multiple pies.
Yeah, pie day has to be every day for us. Speaking of pie though, totally relevant. I'm so excited for fall because of the pies. I am a pumpkin pie fanatic. Love apple pie. Love a good pecan pie. Yeah, pies are great. But no, in terms of balance, you need to stick with one. And honestly, it makes you feel like shit. If you feel like everyone else seems like they have things balanced, like they're lying. They don't, because they don't even know. No one does, seriously. Like everything has to give. Everything has to give. Like that's our top tip
for today. But
no, it's true.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to a second episode of Kinda All Good. Thank you to everyone who came up to us and kind of supported us. I really enjoyed the first podcast. I hope you love the audio quality. We love it. We've invested. We sound like we own a podcast. But just as Ali said, today we're going to talk about all things balance, all things not balance, and really just unpack like productivity in our world today, like being college students, midterm season, baby.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's where we're at.
Everything under the sun. So we're excited to be here today. Excited and here.
I would say something that I go back to around midterm season, or just even sometimes in generals, I hate this feeling of feeling like you're always playing catching up with your own life. Like the feeling that you're always behind is so, it's just degrading. Like I was talking to my friend about this yesterday. We're like, we both feel like we wake up and we're already behind. No matter what time you wake up, no matter what you do, it always feels like you're behind in the morning. And you're like, all I've been doing is sleeping. Like not like, let's say you wake up at like a reasonable, it's not like you're sleeping until noon. Like you wake up at a reasonable time, you went to bed at a reasonable time, and you feel like you're behind, and that shouldn't be the case. Like, I feel like you're running against yourself and you're running on this treadmill that's going nowhere sometimes, and it feels terrible. And even when you go to bed, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't even get enough done today, Like, I saw this thing, and I'm sure you've seen like things like this before that are like, there's only one really, really important thing you need to do, or 3 really important things. Somehow the to-do list gets to like 12, 15, 20, 25. I'm like, how? Like, why? Like,
but then you look through that list and you're like, everything feels important. And all of a sudden these YouTubers, these podcasters, these people who are telling you should only prioritize 3 things.
Yeah.
You're like, my life is different from theirs.
Exactly.
My life is busier than theirs. And you're like, there's no possibility in like any world that I could make this to-do list like 3 things only. Exactly. And so it just feels super intangible. Like I like my like favorite thing to do when I procrastinate is like watching people be productive. Like that's something I get a kick out of.
I love that. You're like, couldn't be me.
Yeah. And like, I would watch these people and they're like, I only have 3 things I really need to get done today. And I was like, I can't relate. And it can't be like, these are medical, like 3rd, 4th year medical students with a YouTube channel family. And I'm like, how do I feel busier than them? Exactly. Like, how do I feel like I don't have time in a day? And then it feels almost like I'm chasing something that feels impossible. Yeah.
No, that's such a good point. This idea of chasing something. And then with that as well, it's like, if your day is not like jam-packed busy, then you're not doing something right. It's like you almost, if you have like downtime, then you did something wrong. So it's going back to the idea of like saying yes to everything, which makes you feel even more busy and then feel like you have no time. And it's just like this endless cycle. And like, we've talked about this before, but like Will and I are definitely like down bitches. We definitely say yes to everything. One of our goals is actually saying no. And just because like you want to prioritize your own time, and like you can't balance or at least prioritize what you need to prioritize if you can't say yes to everything. And that's okay. Like, let's say, for example, you're like in both ends. Let's say, Waylon, for example, let's say you're going to New York for the weekend. You're gonna have a really fun time socializing. when someone's like, hey, there's this extra project, can you help me on? You're like, no, actually, like I'm prioritizing my social life this weekend. Like, that's okay. I'm like, that's great. On the flip side, let's say like the following week, you've got a really busy school week and your friend's like, hey, like want to hang out for a couple hours and like kind of do nothing. You're like, hey, sorry, like I need to study tonight. Like both are okay and both have their time and place. And to say that like it's a be all end all and you have to do everything at the same time is not okay. Like that almost goes back to not multitasking. Like do one thing just really well. Like don't half watch a Netflix show and do your work. Like do your work, grind it out, make it amazing, and then totally immerse yourself in watching that Netflix show. Get that snack you love, get in bed, like relax. Like do both, just do it to the most and like give yourself that love to be able to do the thing like fully.
Yeah. I feel like I struggle a lot with that. I feel like especially during midterm season, I've just been feeling like I'm working all the time. And then when I get really, really tired, I'm like, oh, like now I deserve a break. Or like after I finish something, I'm like, now I deserve rest time. And there's such a culture, especially at these universities, where everyone's trying to do the most. Like truly everyone is doing the most. And one of my like super close friends, she's okay with not doing the most. And like she loves the way her life is playing out. Like she loves every aspect of what she's doing because she doesn't do all of it. She does what she wants to do. And I've never met someone so in control of their time and so in control of like just I have so much respect for her because like I was like, oh, like why aren't you doing like how do you have so much time on your hands? And she said, I just do things that I want to do, and like when those become too much, I don't do them. I just do how much I want to do. And I was like, dang, like I need to learn how to live like that. Like I need to learn to live in a way where I don't feel like I have to be justified by how busy I am.
100%.
And that's on that.
And that's on that. So I'll throw it back to you, Weilyn. If you were living your friend's life, what would be the things that you'd prioritize and what would be the things you would say no to? Like, honestly, what are the things that you would not prioritize if you were doing just the things you actually wanted to do?
That's the thing. Like, that's like, I need to do so much reflection on that because like in my mind, and Ali, we talk about this a lot too, is like this idea of like, especially like jobs and internships and stuff, right? Like finding things, like it just feels like everything that I do at the moment could potentially like open a door in the future, right? Like, so it's like, oh, like what if I say no to this one opportunity and this becomes like the next big thing for me? So definitely something I need to think more about. What about you? Do you have any good productivity tips? Any fun insights in the productivity world?
In terms of productivity, I would definitely say I'm one that like plans my time. And like we chatted about this yesterday as well. Like sometimes it's not what you're doing, it's knowing what to do. So for example, let's say you've got this like to-do list with like a bunch of things to do. Some of the hardest things are just figuring out what to start with and when to do something. And the more you like people like stress out for hours, like I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. Like if you kind of put a plan, like first I'm going to do this because this is the top priority, it's due tomorrow. And then it's like, oh, this I've got a couple time, I'll do this after. Like having that to-do list or even scheduling time in your day. Like, Waylon, what was that software you showed me yesterday?
Oh my goodness, guys. Okay. So yesterday I was on TikTok as I am sometimes. And I'm in like productivity study talk or whatever. And there was this like this girl who's like boss ass bitch, like doing the most. And she was like, I use the Sun Sama. And I was like, Sun what? Sun Sama. Basically, it's this platform. This is like free promo for that. Please sponsor us.
Please.
But it's a platform that connects your to-do list, whether it's on Todoist or Trello, with your Google Calendar. And you can like predict how much time you think each of those to-do list items take you. And you can drop them directly into your Google Calendar. Like, psh, mind is blown.
Amazing. No, that is crazy. Yeah, because it's like sometimes it's like it's not an event, like, oh, I'm gonna go study this for an hour, but like you should schedule it like an event because then like you're kind and you treat yourself and you give yourself the respect, your time the respect that you would give like a class or seeing a friend. Like when you're with a friend, you don't like do your work when you're with them if you're like scheduled to have lunch and have fun, right? You like respect that hour, respect that 2 hours, whatever. Like do that with your work as well. Be like, this is 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm only gonna focus on this. It's like an event. And like I'm a huge advocate for putting your phone on airplane mode. I think our phones are so distracting. And like, especially when you're writing, like for me, that's like the biggest thing. If I have to write an essay or for whatever class or something like that, having that phone on airplane mode is super, super, super helpful, because anything you need, like let's say you need to research something, at least you have them on your computer. Like turn your notifications off. Like you will feel so much more in the flow. And yeah, that's definitely helpful for me. I know other people work differently, but at least for me, that was something that I learned, I think in high school, that I still use today. What about you,
Yeah.
Weilyn? Any productivity tips that you got?
Oh my goodness. I have gone on quite the productivity journey. Um, I I had the like I have like I think I have like an obsession with finding like how to be the most productive with my
For
time
sure.
at all times.
Yeah.
So in high school, what I would do is I would plan my day like half an hour, like by 30-minute chunks.
Mm-hmm.
And I would plan the whole day, like from 7 a.m. to like 10:30, 11 p.m. No breaks, just straight grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I find myself doing that still. I don't know. I've tried everything. I've tried paper planners, I've tried Google Calendar, I've tried like everything under the sun. And it just boils down to like, you just got to sit down and do it. Like
Yeah,
writing a to-do list is only going to help you so much. Like you
exactly.
just need to sit down and do the things that are bothering you. I think something that helps me a lot is like scheduling breaks and like
Yes.
making it a
Huge.
priority to take breaks.
Yeah.
And then also like just as you said, this is definitely something I need to do, but like respect the time that I'm taking to work. Like if this is an hour for work, like this is an hour for work, but also tying that to like, okay, an hour for work means that like you can also spend more time doing leisure and you don't have to mix the two, like is so huge. Because I
Exactly.
think if you plan a whole day and you're like, the whole day I'm working, like it becomes too much and then you don't want to do it.
No, 100%. And like it's so overwhelming as well, because that's not what humans are
Exactly.
supposed to do. Like I think you shared this on a Instagram live or Instagram takeover you did in the Entrepreneurs Network a couple of weeks ago, but about this 888 thing. Want to share that with our listeners?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So there's a lot of different ways you can like break up your time. There's like the Pomodoro technique. There's the anti-Pomodoro technique. There's like the focus
Wait,
timer.
what's the
There's the
anti-Pomodoro technique? I know the Pomodoro was it's
so
like 25 minutes, 5-minute break, but what's the
yeah.
anti
So
one?
there's like different variations. I think
Mm,
one of them is like there's like a specific time where like the average person's brain can actually focus, and I think it's like 53 minutes or something like that. So you set a timer
mm.
for that and you spend the other 7 minutes relaxing. So that's like one of
Oh,
the methods. The other one is saying like, hey, you can't really put a time on productivity,
sure.
so what you should do instead is set a like a stopwatch instead, and you track how much you can like how much you can work, if that makes sense. So like let's say
Interesting.
instead of counting down for like 30 minutes, you just like you start a timer and you're
Oh,
like, okay, I'm going to work on this for 25 minutes, but you let the timer just keep going until you feel like you need to take a break. So it's like more intuitive.
interesting.
There's also zodiac animals. So
Oh,
like,
no way.
yeah, like
Totally.
there's like the bear. If you're like, I don't know, I'll send you the link. I'll
Please
send you
do. We'll
everything.
we'll put it in the description of this podcast too. That's so
Truly.
interesting.
But
Yeah.
the 888 method is like 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for leisure, 8 hours for work. And that's how you should split up your day. And whatever those hours look like, or however you plan those hours, like you have to respect that time. I do think it's a little hard for college students to respect that because
It also blends a lot because it's like, oh, I'm
class,
studying with friends. And
yeah,
like that's like, is that leisure? Is that like, you
is
know what I
that work?
mean?
And then like does
Exactly.
class time like fit into
Count?
leisure
Yeah,
or work, or and then like if you're
exactly.
taking 5 classes, 5 hours of
Yeah, that's 5 hours of
classes, then you
class.
have 3 hours for work. It's like not enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And again, like it's like, does leisure only consist of things that like make you happy, or is it things that like you're like lying down with friends? It's difficult to really categorize that. Even if you have like a lunch meeting, like maybe like that's your leisure time. That is that cutting into your leisure time. At the same time, like I think 888, it's a great way. However, as I said at the beginning, balance is bullshit. And I think that's like a great model to work on, kind of how that be your base, but also respect that at different times and different days, like your hours can cut into each other. And that's not to be every day, but some hours, like if you're on vacation, the holidays, like you shouldn't be working 8 hours a day on your holidays. Like that's not it. At the same time, if it's like your day before your big final, like it's okay to study a couple extra hours and that's okay. And to get more sleep some night and cut into your leisure hours or cut into your workouts, like that's okay. So I like
Love
the
that.
888 as a model, but also like kind of see it as like, it's also like nice to yourself. Like I sort of see 888 after you showed that to me as like the base model. And then different days, I take
It
1 hour there,
fluctuates.
take exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I
So
love
today
that.
for me is definitely a more working day. But tomorrow is definitely going to be more of a sleeping day. I've not been getting enough sleep at all, and this is so sad for me.
Talk about it.
I love sleep. Like I'm not someone who sleeps till noon, but like I'm at 10 a.m. 10 p.m. to 6:30, 6 a.m. or like that is me. And that has not been me for the past like 3 weeks now, just because I feel as in everyone's like, I have so much going on. And like I keep telling myself that. But at the end of the day, like anyone can power off. Like I'm not a brain surgeon. No one's calling me at 11 p.m. for a medical emergency. Like I'm okay. I can turn off. And I think I need to like get through that. I need to get better at like getting off my phone earlier and having that sort of routine back in place, because again, college, it's so difficult. Like I realized that I was really isolated in high school last year, or last semester rather, for a number of reasons. But I think one of it was actually this like early rise or early bed thing, because like that's not what like teenagers and high school students and college students usually do. So it's isolating, like, oh, sorry, like it's 8-9 o'clock, I gotta get ready for bed. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Whereas like, you know, people sleep in. So I think it's kind of isolating in college to sort of be like that. And I've accepted that, and that's okay. So I think I know that's what's good for me when I'm alone and like I'm doing my own flow, but I'm also flexible to be with other people. But then, you know, like if I'm with my friends, we're up to like 5 a.m, 6 a.m, and then like wake up at 9. I just feel dead, but also just like different, but I'm okay with it now. Like I was really mad at myself at the beginning, but I realized like that's part of life as well. It's part of college experience, and like that's fun.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my thought. What about you?
Yeah, no, sleep was really weird. So like in high school, I was kind of the same. Like I would sleep at pretty much like 10 to 11 every single day. And then I would wake up at like 7:30 every single day. In college, like I know for a fact that's how I function the best. Like if I sleep at 11 and I
100%.
wake up early, I do the most work when I'm awake early. And like
Mm-hmm.
when like after like 12 a.m., like I'm really getting nothing done.
Absolutely.
Um, so like first realizing that like it's okay to be different, but also like to like I basically set like, okay, Thursday, like pretty much like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like I'm okay with sleeping later.
Yeah,
Like I've kind of
same.
set that with myself. I'm like, okay, like today, like if I stay up till 1, stay up till 2, like studying with friends, like that's okay. Like
Yeah.
be kind to yourself. But
Yes.
the
Say
other
it
days,
loud.
like
Wait. Say it for those in the
be
back that didn't
kind,
hear.
be
Be
kind to
kind.
yourself.
Get our kind. Well, also we love Kind Bars. Please sponsor us. Thank you so
Oh
much.
yeah, please sponsor us. But I also realized like on the other hand, like I used to be so mad at myself. I was like, oh, like why am I not like a late sleeper or whatever? But I realized like
Interesting.
honestly, it's kind of nice in college to have like 3 hours before your friends wake up to like do shit, you
Yes.
know,
Oh my goodness.
like to have those hours, like for them, it's like at night, like late at night when nobody's awake and like
Yeah.
that's their special time. Like for me, it's like having the 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. to like get breakfast, like do
Yeah.
work like in the morning and like feel like I'm getting something done. And
100%.
then meet up with them after. And like that's exciting, right? Like it's exciting to know like your schedules can blend together.
Yeah. No, I think that's good as well. And that's not to say just because you wake up, those hours have to be purely for work. Like that's good for you to get some work done, but it's like having personal time. And that's a big part of this balance as well. Like I am a huge extrovert. But I've realized like in the past I'm almost to a fault, because unfortunately, I think in society, and this is objectively speaking, and Waylon, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I feel like in society, in terms of just with Hollywood and personalities, like extrovertism, I guess it is more glamorized than introvertism in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. So like
Yeah,
going off that
100%.
assumption, which I do not think is the case at all, I have always been an extrovert, and that's definitely myself. But in the past, like a month ago, I realized like I became too much of an extrovert. And that if you think of introverts as someone who like gets energy and like gets refueled from themselves, and extroverts who get energy and are refueled from others, if you're only refueled from others, when you're by yourself, you feel stressed. So I only saw time
Mm-hmm.
by myself as like productive time. Like I couldn't have fun by myself. So I had fun with other
Mm-hmm.
people, other things, like sorts of thing. But when I was by myself, I was like, okay, this is work time. I am a machine. I work by myself. I have to be productive. I have to become a better self. Like the idea of like watching a movie by myself, I was like, what? That's so weird. Like, okay, that could only work if I'm with someone, or I'm with a group of
Mm-hmm.
people, or going, even like taking yourself on a date. You're like, oh, I can only go out
Yeah,
and have fun with other people. So I've learned in the past month, like to have fun with myself, like going around and traveling by myself sometimes too. And like,
I love that.
yeah, I don't know. I think that's a big part. Yeah, this is like some more internal reflection, but this is to say that like sometimes you wake up earlier, have those nights to like do your own thing, and like nothing to do with like productivity where you are in your life right now. Something more long term. Like if you love to read, like wake up and read. If you love to like listen to music, wake up earlier, go stay up later to have that like music time. Like I have friends who are so into music and music production who just like stay up late or will wake up early just because like that's like part of their routine. Or for me sometimes like it's exercising, like that's like what I like to do. Like I like to run and things like that, like doing things beyond just work that's more like authentic to you. Like I know for you love to do art and you love like crocheting and things like that. Like it's like that, those sorts of things.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I definitely feel like that's definitely something I need to incorporate more into my life. It's just so hard sometimes. Like it's so hard to feel like you control your schedule, and it's so hard to feel like the day is yours truly. Like I sometimes feel like I'm like chained to my Google Calendar and something, right? Like I'm saying yes to a lot of things, but also just like meetings, classes, all of that. And like all of a sudden, like doesn't feel like I have time for anything else but work or but calls. And although all of those things are super exciting, like there's no time for me, right? And like so like I hear you and I definitely want to incorporate it. I just feel like it's really hard sometimes.
No, I completely agree, which is why I don't think it's something that needs to be sort of a minute duration tied to it. Like for example, this morning I woke up literally 4 minutes before our first call, and because like I was up late last night, which I didn't even like, so that's the situation. And I woke up like 4 minutes before, I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I put my glasses on. I read literally one page of my book, literally one page, and it was a short page. This was a half a page situation, and I was like, okay, she can do it, she's a fucking queen. And here we are. So I think it's literally about doing something even for like 2 seconds, like sometimes even like doing it like a little bit.
I think also like for me, like it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm taking myself out for a date, or like I'm doing something kind even to my body, or like kind to myself, like, or like taking time to do like a face mask or something. Like sometimes for me, like I find myself like finding peaceful moments in just like when I'm walking to class and like noticing a breeze, or like I'm walking to class and like the leaves are changing colors, or I'm taking a quicker path than I usually do, or I run into my path buddy or something like that, right? So I think like we often like glamorize the idea of self-care to be like
100%.
5 things, right? Like meditation, like drink your matcha, wake up early, like all of these things are so glamorized, right? And so then sometimes I feel like it's really hard to incorporate those things into your life, right? Like read more, listen to a podcast, go for a run. Like these are like big things to start habits, right? And like I think recognizing there's other places you have self-love and self-worth is like super important too. Like you're walking, that's good for you. Like
it's amazing.
You're sleeping to some extent, like if it's not 7 hours, like that's okay. Like you're still like trying to take care of your body, and like that effort too is something I don't think people give themselves enough credit for. So
no, that's such a good point. Like what are some little things you think we all do every day, or like you think college students or people around us do every day that are so underrated? Like one I can think of is like even feeding yourself. Like in college, like no one's telling you like it's mealtime. Like the fact that you got like, who cares nutrition, whatever, like the fact that like you fed yourself every day, like amazing.
That you're trying to fuel yourself, and like like college is hard sometimes. Like you have to do everything, right? So like the fact that you're like taking care of yourself is huge, and people don't give you enough credit for that, right? So yeah, I just wanted to shout out. I know there's a lot of people probably listening who feel like maybe they don't have time to like do a face mask or take themselves out for a date. Just know that I know you're taking care of yourself. Just take that extra minute to take care of yourself too. And that's definitely something I need to hear too.
I think what I go back to is this idea, like treat yourself like your best friend. Like you would never tell your best friend like, oh yeah, you only need like 3 hours of sleep. You don't do that. Like you never be like, you never tell your best friend like, you're stupid, you're fat. You would never say that to your best friend. Like treat yourself like your best friend.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I feel like we should talk about our weeks. Like we've had some pretty crazy weeks this week.
Want to start us off, Weilyn?
Oh,
it's
my
a
goodness.
midterm season.
Where do I even start? Oh my goodness. So Princeton does this thing where we have midterm week. And so some of my professors think they're being really kind to me by scheduling midterms before midterms week so that my midterms week is like
So
lighter.
kind.
So I
Kind.
have midterms for 5 weeks straight where it's just like a different one every week.
Oh my goodness.
So I had like 2 last week, 2 this week, 1 next week, spring, like fall break. Then I have 2 the week after, and then like 1 the week after that. And then I have some friends who have like 5 on one day, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
there's no coordination
How?
whatsoever that's
Yeah.
happening.
Where was the Google Doc? Where was the
Google Doc?
Oh my
But
goodness.
besides that, I've had a really great week. Like
Hey.
kind of. It's been very
a good week.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's been kind of overwhelming, but just really good.
You had a good weekend. What'd you do this weekend?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wait, let me tell you about my weekend. And then I'd love to hear about your trip. All the tea there. So so this weekend was fun. I recently joined the crew team. I forget if I mentioned this on this podcast.
Yes.
But now I'm a NCAA D1 athlete.
She said
so
it.
We had
she
a bunch of tests for that, which was exciting. I got my height checked.
How'd you do?
I
did you do well?
Great.
Oh, so proud of you. So proud of you.
5'6",
top of the class,
which is exciting.
Ooh, wait, so high.
Yeah. Not us being the same height.
Oh
I also got my sickle cell test, and I'm not sure for our like listeners who can like see, like it got bruised so bad that the nurse looked at me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, you tell me, am I okay?" But besides that, every year, every semester, Princeton throws something called lawn parties, and it's essentially a party on the lawn where they invite an artist for a lot of money. They like build a concert stage in the middle of Princeton, like one of our like eating clubs, which is like a frat house essentially. And they throw like a big party. So like the entire Sunday, there were like food trucks for free.
Amazing.
Cheesecake on a stick,
No.
Taco Bell,
No.
free oven, what's it called, like fire oven pizzas?
No.
Free.
Game over.
So good.
Oh my god.
Italian shaved ice. And there was like a concert. Everyone was taking pictures. It was so cute, so nice. And then right after, like when it ended at 5 p.m., you have the mixture of kids who had showered early and were eating dinner, the drunk kids who were eating dinner, all in the same dining hall. So you have like half wet dogs, half like sweaty, gross people.
Oh my god.
Together. And it was a cute moment. I was like, this is beautiful. College.
That is college. That is the world coming together. That is what we need right now.
Anyway,
oh my goodness.
That was
I want to ask
really
you
fun.
what.
And then the midterm grind started.
Yeah. So it wasn't at night. It was during the day. That's very strategic of them.
Yeah, it's a darty, very large darty day party.
Wait, darty day party?
New Jersey. That's New Jersey for you. Anyway, that was fun. Weird. And then
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Who played, or who was the artist?
ASAP Ferg.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was good. It was like very hype, super great. And then we had a student performer, which was awesome too.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool to like kind of see Princeton talent as well. What else did I do? I I like did a practice tour. I'm trying to be a tour guide on campus, which was exciting. So
Yay.
Those are kind of like all my highlights. I had a programming exam, a cute little essay, little econ thing, and then just lots of rowing, 2 hours a day.
That's a lot. Have you gotten in the water yet or not yet?
Yeah, we row by 4s and row by 6s. We keep trying to do by 8s, but our boat is just like not there yet. So we're getting there. It's really exciting.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe this.
Anyway, tell me all about Beijing.
Yes. So we had a national holiday, which is October 1st, which is pretty much the July 4th of China. So the week leading up, there was just like 6,000 things I needed to get done. Everything from school to the network to some internship stuff, some external things going on. And I had that feeling. My train was at 6 a.m. on Friday. And I got back on Thursday. I like finished my week. I was so done. And like this goes back to the leisure thing. I'm like, I didn't want to sleep. I wanted like leisure. I wanted to just like let my mind relax. Like I watched the stupidest movie, like 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, if even. And just like my brain numb. Like I chilled out. My friend come over, we hung out. And lo and behold, then it was like 4 a.m. and I was like, I have to leave in an hour. So pulled an all-nighter, went on the train to Beijing, slept there, got a bunch of work on the train. Actually, it's like a 6-hour train, really beautiful. Got up to Beijing, dropped my stuff in my friend's apartment. And honestly, my friend who I went, he was exhausted. So he went to bed. I went out like touring, exploring Beijing by myself. I had the best bike of my entire freaking life. It was amazing. Sunny as anything. I was like living a Disney movie. It was beautiful. Yeah, I went biking, got some good food, went to the went to a couple parks in Beijing, went to some art galleries. I was like living my best life, honestly. This was like solo. Then I went to my friend's
You
house
really
for
are.
dinner.
I saw the photos.
No, she popped off. She really did. And then my friend, I went to this like house party thing, which was like so weird, but that did happen. And then the next day we actually went to the Great Wall of China, which was lots of fun. We
That's
drove
exciting.
3 hours, actually traumatic experience on the way there. I had to go to the bathroom, the worst I've ever had to go in my entire life. Like, I swear to God, I thought I was going to get a bladder infection. I thought I was going to explode. The driver was like 1 hour bathroom. And then an hour later, he's like 1 hour. I'm like, I'm going to die. And we were like 5 minutes away from the bathroom finally. And I was like, I literally can't, like, I will explode. Like, I felt like my heart rate, like slowing. Like, this is the end for me. One on the side of the road, no shame, no game, happened. What happens in the Great Wall stays in the Great Wall. Anyways, got there. We had another issue. My friend's trip code wasn't working, so we had to finesse that. And eventually we got to the Great Wall. We took the cable car up and we walked around this. We went to Simeitai area, which is like not the more touristy area. It's more like it's less restored, so it's more like authentic, I guess. And yeah, we were there for a couple hours. It was really beautiful, very wholesome experience.
Do like a hike or something?
It's a little bit of a hike. It's not very intense. It's not intense, but it's definitely a little bit of a walk. So that was lovely. And then yeah, we went back down, started the drive back, and like we hadn't like eaten really that day that well. So like we got back, we were so freaking hungry. So we went to this area called actually forgot what it's called. But it's like a very poppin' area. Lots of Hong Kong brands are there as well. I went to like the most amazing Japanese restaurant. We like le feasting, like ratatouille, le feasting. Like it was amazing. Japanese food all the way.
I love that.
Yeah. Sunday, what did I do? Some chill vibes. Did some more. No, Sunday, yeah. I met a friend for lunch, which was lovely. And yeah, I did some more touring, saw some friends. Went to art galleries. Monday, oh my gosh, Monday we also went to Peking. Sunday went to Peking duck, which is like the famous thing in Beijing. So had some really good Peking duck there. Went to a crazy restaurant, went to Forbidden City, Tiananmen Square, went to this Andy Warhol exhibit, and then came back. We missed our train on the way back, so we were delayed by 3 hours, but it was like meant to be because then I could do my class remotely. I'm taking a class at NYU Paris remotely right now, so I was able to do that at the train station rather than the train, which is nice. And then the train back, we got here 4 hours, came back to the grind. Here we go. School starts on Monday. There's like 6,000 things to do, so I feel very overwhelmed right now. Yesterday was like getting back on my feet and getting some stuff done, which we feel good about. But now I think, like as you said, like it's kind of like sitting down doing that grind work, like just sitting at the computer, like writing what needs to be done. And yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm going back to Hong Kong in 10 weeks, which is so crazy to me. I haven't seen my family in a year now, so that's kind of weird for me as well. Like 10 weeks I'll see my family, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you to finally see them. I know how much they mean to you as well, so it'll be nice.
I guess the other update is I found out I'm going to NYU Paris class 2022 for spring, so that's exciting as well. So I'll be in Paris.
We've talked about it. I'm super excited for all of the pictures.
Oh my goodness. No, wait, like we're gonna drag you out. You better come. Like you have to come. You have to. Seriously. Like come for March. Like, why not? Why not? Borders are open.
I'll be there. I'll be hopefully in Europe over the break. Like over winter break to visit my sister. Yeah. Kaylin's graduating this year. So
crazy.
We were thinking of making a trip down there. Especially since I can't go back home because Hong Kong has a 3-week quarantine period.
It's so
right
bad.
Now.
It's so bad.
And Singapore has a 14-day one, so I can't even go back home see my grandparents.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's okay. So we try not to think about it.
We try not to think about it.
I will cry.
No, it's crazy. Like there's a bunch of like China's basically a capsule right now. Like people who have been here for like 2 years and haven't seen their family. And I think this is the point how people are breaking. like just like
Yeah.
professionals, people, like any international expats, like it's really difficult not to see your family for that long, or see your friends, or see your life. Like it feels like you're living this like pseudo life in some ways, which is great. You form this whole other community, but like it's like you forget the majority of your part of your 90% of your identity. Like of course you've become and you've
Yeah.
grown so much here. It's like not going back to where you come from so long, or seeing these people that have shaped you for the majority of your life is very strange. It really is strange. And
Yeah. And then
COVID's
like
done a number on us.
yeah, no, for sure. I also think like specifically going from like every day seeing your family to like
Yeah,
not seeing your family for over 10, 12 months
literally.
is such a hard transition that nobody really talks about. And then the other thing I was thinking about is like fall break, I feel like for college students is like low key designed for students who are starting to feel homesick. Cause like right at this point, like so many of my friends are like, I can't wait to go back home. Like, I can't wait to see my family, especially like freshmen. I feel like it's just like such a like great time for them to go back home. And like the fact that like we can't go home like is
Yeah.
definitely hitting hard.
No, so a lot of your friends, they're going back home now, you said?
Yeah, like it's very common in the US, like for fall break to be the time like you go home, you see family. Um, Especially like for first years who like this is like their
Yeah.
first time like not being there. Like a lot of them are really homesick. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
feel you. Like I
it's
feel
true.
you. Like that's why they have it, right? Like I feel like a part of it is like also for students to be able to like go back home if they need to. So
No, 100%. That makes
yeah.
sense. So then what are
Mhm.
you doing for fall break? Are you just hanging out around Princeton? Are you going to a friend's house? What are you up to?
Yeah. So I think for the beginning at least, we're gonna make some trips like to New York and all of that. Some of my friends
That's
are going to
fun.
go back home. But honestly, I'm just excited to like I feel like at some points, like going back to our productivity discussion, like I kind of started the school year on not the greatest foot where I felt like I was behind at the beginning. So I'm really hoping just to like take fall break and like catch up, but also like take time to reflect on like what actually is important to me and what I actually need to get done for the school year, and then hopefully have
Yeah.
a better second semester, like second half of the semester where I feel like I'm on top of it. I'm
Yeah.
like getting the work done and like not rushing to like study for exams and things like that. So
Yeah, no,
that's the goal.
same. Same. I feel like there's so many things. It almost feels like, you know, those carnival games where there's like the moles or something like that, where you like you have the hammer, you try to hit the hammer, and like when one pops down, another one pops up. I feel like I'm playing that game right now. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There's a
Lots of
lot.
things to do, but
No, it is. We've
that's
also,
college for you.
that is college. Also, I feel like we have to talk about this. Waylon and I have been thinking a lot about like high school and how that related to us as well. Like for those who don't know, Waylon and I actually went to high school together, and we had a very strange year just by the nature of us being first semester with the protests going on in Hong Kong, and then just COVID hitting us. We didn't have a last year. And yeah, we have been reflecting on our time there and like how we've been able to transition. And there's lots to talk about, but the note I want to kind of speak about right now is like how we've grown in 2 years, because it's pretty much been 2 years since our first semester of senior year, which was, at least for me, like
That's
the
a
worst time of
while.
my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Waylon and I had a chance earlier this morning to talk to someone. And in that time we were reflecting on how we've grown in the past 2 years. So I'd love to bring a little bit of that conversation at least on here, and have Waylon share at least for on her behalf, like how she's grown the past 2 years, like what she would say to her first
Oh,
semester senior year self, because I know some first semester seniors are listening to this, and that's definitely a time where you need some extra love and care and support. And I would have loved to hear something like this. So yeah, Waylon, the floor is
yeah, for
yours.
sure. One of the questions that the lady we were talking to this morning was asking us was like what teachers kind of had like the most impact on us. And I think there's been a lot of different teachers who have had a lot of different impacts on me, but I kind of like mentioned two of my teachers who specifically had a lot of impact on me. And like one of them was my high school counselor, and he did truly the most for me at like a time where I felt like I was the most down, when I felt like when I had decided that my self-worth was determined by the awards that I had gotten or the accolades I had achieved or like the projects I had worked on and succeeded or the research papers I was doing or the GPA I had derived all of my self-worth from these things. And to get a college rejection or a college deferral, that was really crushing because it felt like shit, like it's more than just those things. Like it's my self-worth that's no longer there. So to all my college seniors, I feel you, but remember kind of this thing that my counselor told me was that you are enough and you are more than enough, regardless of anything, regardless of what your GPA is, regardless of what schools you're applying to. You just being you is enough. And I think that's so special and something that definitely carried me through college season grind.
No, 100%. That is such a good
Yeah,
point. And like, I think that's definitely a theme that we bring onto the podcast as well. This idea of like, what do you love about yourself? Like,
exactly.
it's so, so, so important. And that's, no one says like, I love that I get good grades. I love that I'm this. Like, no one says that. No one's ever
Yeah.
said that when we've asked the question. No one's like, I love that I'm such a successful entrepreneur. I love that I've sold this many products. Like, no one says that. That's not the most,
Yeah.
that's not the truest you. That's like just a shell. Like, people
Yeah.
say, I love that I'm kind to my family. I love that
Mhm.
I appreciate the little things in life. Like, no one loves
Yeah.
your accolades, your accomplishments or internally. Like, that's not something you love. Like, you
Yeah.
respect and you appreciate, but you don't love it.
100%. I think kind of bringing in one of our previous episodes that came out this week with Tiffany Yu for Count Her In. Definitely go check that out on wherever you
Yes.
listen to your podcast. But one thing that really helped me frame this was I asked her, like, what do you define your success to look like? And she's, verified on Instagram. She has all of these amazing opportunities. She worked at like very large and prominent banks. And now she's doing amazing work for the disabled community. And when I asked her what she defined her success by, she said success is loving myself. And we just posted an Instagram about it because I thought it was such a great quote. But um yeah, like at the end of the day, like you hope that you love yourself, and that's the goal, really. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
honestly, that's it. Like, again, we go back to like, treat yourself like your best friend. Like, I can't get enough. Like, you really would not do this to your best friend. So why would you do it to yourself? And give yourself the love and care. Because at the end of the day, like, you have many people throughout your life, and you will have people that come and go, people that stay for a long time, people that are there just for part of your time. But if you are able to
Mhm.
love yourself, sustain yourself, like, you will always feel like that comfort. And there's no other way to describe it. And I think we're all on the journey to try to find that in some way. And it goes up and down, and that's okay. It's not like you have to always feel a certain way at a certain time of your life, and to not feel like that's not okay. Like, I know lots of people struggle with like depression or anxiety or things like that. And like, that's not a bad thing by any means. But like, I think what's so
Mhm.
beautiful is in many cases, people are able to overcome that, and people are able to love themselves maybe out of it. And where I see a lot of, at least my friends who have been able to overcome things like that, is they almost tap into the most authentic version of themselves. They go back to like what they
Yeah.
truly love, and that's really what you do. Like, when you're at a time of grief or a time of difficulty, you don't like hate yourself like, I saw a quote the other day, it was like, you don't hate yourself to become the person you want to be, you do it out of love. You don't. And like, I think that it's
Yeah.
something along those lines.
I love that. I think that's so important to remember that like the only way you grow is by loving yourself. Dang, that's good. That's a good one. I'm going to take that. I'm going to reflect on that.
It's true. You don't hate yourself to become the person you want to be. Like, you don't go like, oh, she's not good enough. Oh, she's not good enough. And like, you love yourself. You hype yourself up. Like, we love Dune,
Yeah.
who's the host of the Female Startup Club. And she's like, I'm your personal hype girl. Like, I love that. Like, be your own personal hype girl. Like, I feel like we've been
Yeah.
able to like grow with this, even like, we've never hated this. We've always loved it more and more. And I feel like the more love you give to something, the more happiness that comes out of that. That can be in a project, that can be
Truly.
in a relationship, that can be in a friendship. Like, the more love you put in, the better things come out. So why would you hate yourself?
100%.
That's not
Yeah.
like that's not going to work. Like,
Yeah.
love yourself even
Definitely.
more. When you feel bad,
Yeah.
just give yourself even more love.
I know. I love that. I feel like definitely harder said
Harder
than
done than
done,
said.
or
Oh,
harder
100%.
done than said.
100%.
But
100%. We are
yeah, I
speaking, I'm
think
speaking
that,
to myself. I'm speaking to myself
yeah, no,
100%.
for sure. I think that's super important. And also, if you came to this podcast for advice, yeah, probably we're just kind of
We're works in
rambling, but also,
progresses.
yeah, we're work in progresses, truly, and that's beautiful. So I think that wraps it up for today's podcast.
I think so.
I feel like I
I
feel
feel
like we have a
wholesome.
lot to think about, but
Yeah.
this is
Never a
great.
dull moment. As well, if
Never
you
a
guys
dull
have
moment.
any suggestions or ideas of what you guys want to talk about, you want us to talk about on here. We're open to like bring on guests, like some of our friends too at different universities and colleges around the world, and kind of get their insights too. Just there's a lot of things that are on our minds that we want to talk about. We're kind of easing into the kind of all good. It's been a journey for both of us to start these podcasts and be where we are, and also a journey of vulnerability as well. We want to get more vulnerable. We want to get more real, but of course it takes time to get comfortable. So stay tuned, and things are in the works. But also we just wanted to kind of give you our unfiltered verbal diarrhea at times. That's kind of what this is. A little bit of advice, a little bit of jokes, a little bit of self-reflection, and just
Where
checking
our
in.
heads at. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope you feel kind of all good today. And I think that wraps it up.
And we'll do our little corporate spiel. But if you want to check out more of this podcast, be sure to give us a follow on Spotify, give us a review, and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We have some really exciting news about like our ratings as the podcast continue to grow. So definitely be sure to continue to support us there. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, be sure to check out our website at the entrepreneursnetwork.com. And check us out on Instagram and LinkedIn, and be sure to follow our other podcast shows, Count Her In and the Entrepreneurs podcast, which are both found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Go off, Queen. Thank you guys so much for
Yay!
listening, and stay in touch. All the love. Bye.
Bye.